We're on Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph in the Bavli Maseches Gittin, right on the top by the Mishna. If you have orphans that they're relying on a certain person to support them and take care of them, and even though he wasn't appointed by Bezdin, he's like their apitrepis, he's like their guardian. Or if their father appointed for them an apitrepis, a guardian, over his estate to take care of his matters for them, for their benefit, he's going to have to tithe their paytis. He's going to have to tithe their fruit. If you have an apitrepis that the father appointed, he's going to have to make an oath in the end that he did not abuse and did not use their stuff. Minu Bezdin lo yishava. If Bezdin appointed him, he won't make an oath. Abishol says it's the opposite. Abishol says that if it's appointed by Bezdin, he's going to make an oath. If it's appointed by the father, he's not going to make an oath. For Aminu, there's a contradiction, says the Gemara. We said that if you have an apitrepis over the Yisayim Shesam Chayitzel Shulchan, Yisayim Shesam Chayitzel Balabayis, he has to be Ma'aser, he has to type their paytis. It says, Atem v'lo shutvim, atem v'lo yorisim. It says in the Pasuk, Kein tarimu gam atem, you should tithe your truma. And we learn from the word atem, well, gam is including shluchim. If you have a shliach, he could take truma for you, but not shutvim and not partners. One partner is not allowed to take truma for his other partner without permission. The sharecropper is not allowed to separate the truma without Balabai's permission. Atem and not apitrepin. So if we're talking about ketanim, they're not able to appoint a shliach, and they have to wait until they get older to do truma. So how can we say in our Mishnah that they're going to be master, they're going to tithe? Not somebody who's going to tithe in something that doesn't belong to him. Atim, it has to belong to you. The apitrepis, it doesn't belong to him, so he's not able to tithe it. So that's the contradiction. Rav Chisda says, Loi kasha. It's not a question. Kan lahachil, kan leniach. If he wants to be machil, the Yisayim Lalter, right away he wants them to eat, so then he's going to have to be master. It's for their benefit. It's for them. It's as if they're doing it. I guess he's sort of like the shliach, maybe. Kan lahaniach, if he wants to leave it until they get older, so he's not going to be master for them. He'll wait till they get older. He'll wait till they use it. Well, tiny, like it says in the Brisa, apitrepin, terminum asin lahachavaleilaniach. The apitrepin, they take trumas and maestros, but only if they're giving the kids to eat right away, but not to leave it for later. And they can sell for them animals, slaves, maidservants, houses, fields, and vineyards to give them to eat if they don't have what to eat, so he could sell the property so that they'll have what to eat, but not laniach, not the stockpile. That you're not allowed. You're not allowed to sell the estate laniach. Let them make the decision when they get older. They're allowed to sell for them fruits, wine, oil, flour, to give them to eat, but not to leave. Obviously, we're only talking about if it's not going to spoil. If it's going to spoil, it's a different story. You make for them lulav, arova. You could buy a lulav and arova, sukkah, tzitzis, anything that has a kitzvah, anything that has a set amount. Rashi says, shevach v'isavim. You want to leave their estate for them. You don't want to turn it into money. Let them decide what to do with it. So you're allowed to buy them mitzvahs like lulav, arava, sukkah, anything defined. Says Rashi, says the Gemara la suya shofar, which includes shofar. But you can buy for them a sefer Torah, tefillin, and mezuzahs, anything that has a set amount, Lasui Megillah to include a Megillah. Vein Paiskin Aleim Tzedakah, but not tzedakah. Doesn't have a set amount to feed the poor because there's an endless amount of poor people. So you can't give tzedakah from their property. Vein Poidin Aleim is a shvuyin. We do not redeem for them captives, which is a type of tzedakah. Which includes comforting the avelim to pay for the meal, because there's an endless amount of it's possible for there to be an unlimited amount of avelim. They're not allowed to go to din, to go to the court, lodun v'lochuv, lochuv v'liskis, to be mechayev, or to win or to lose. If there's a problem, they can't go to court to win or to lose for these same. So the Gemara asks, Liskus am I like? Why can't they go to court? Liskus. They're not allowed to go to court. Lochuv, even if they think they're going to win, you can't go to court because you might lose. If they win, they win. But you're not allowed to go to court because there's a possibility of losing. They can't sell a field that's far away in order to buy a field that's close. It's for the benefit, right? Sell a bad field to buy a better one. By time, because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the closer one will get ruined. You don't want to mess around with property. Just leave it as is until they get older. So really, the point of the apitrepis is to make sure the field doesn't get ruined and to take care of the kids' immediate needs, but he can't do that many changes. You're not allowed to sell a field to buy slaves. But you could sell slaves in order to buy fields because fields are more permanent. Not allowed to sell slaves to buy fields. Maybe there's going to be a problem with the field. You don't want to mess around. You have slaves, you don't sell it to buy fields. That's what Shimon Gamliel says. Allah is like him. They're not allowed to free slaves. If it's for the Toivas Hayisoimim, the only way to free them is they're not allowed to sell the slaves. It doesn't belong to them. They could sell it to someone else who could sell the slave. Interesting. So even though the goof doesn't belong to them in order to free, but they can still sell it for somebody else for the needs of the kids if they need to eat. It's as if he's selling him to himself. He's selling the slave to himself. So you could free the slave as long as he gives you the money. That's Rabbi's opinion. Afterwards, you're going to have to make a shvua that you didn't take anything. That betrepis is going to have to make a shvua to the Yisoimim when they get older. Shimon Gamliel says it's not necessary. Not going to have to make a shvua when they get older. Okay. You don't make an apitrepis a woman, a slave, and a cotton. Rashi explains the reasons. A woman, they're not the type to fight for the rights of the Yisrael. Like, it's not the style of a woman. Avodim are not trusted. Tanim are not b'nei das. They don't have das. But if the father of the Yisrael appointed them, or Shus B'yada, he's allowed. Obviously, he saw he was dying, so he appointed an apitrepis for after he dies. Okay, the Gemara says like this. There was an apitrepis in the neighborhood of Rav Meir to have a komazbin arato. He was selling property for Zovan Avde, and he was buying slaves. So that's not allowed the Cholades, according to every opinion. He was doing it for the Yisayim. Well, Rav Meir didn't allow him to do this because you're not allowed to sell property to buy slaves if you're not Petrebis. They showed him the dream that Hashem wanted it to happen because I guess they didn't deserve to keep the property, so he wanted it to come out like this. I'm trying to destroy your building, you're saving him. This is what's supposed to happen. That's what it was. He got in a dream. Nevertheless, he didn't look. He said that dreams, you don't do anything with dreams, and therefore he didn't listen to the dream. There was two people that the Satan took control, and every Erev Shabbos, by Shkia, they would fight. Rabbi Meir came there. He stopped them from fighting for 3 Shabbosim until he made Shalom. Shami Dekomar, Vaidafker Mela, who governed me basic. So then he heard the Satan saying, whoa, Rabbi Meir took me out of his house, took them out of my house. Now, because Rabbi Meir caused peace, I don't have control over these people anymore. So we see the tzidkus of Rabbi Meir. If you remember, we had the story in the Yerushalmi about the woman who had shalom bayis problems because she was going to Rabbi Meir's shiurim. And the husband said, you can only come back if you spit in my eye. So Rabbi Meir said, spit in my eye. He told the woman, I'm ill. Only you could spit in my eye in order to cure him. We're up to the 2 dots now in the middle of Nun Beis and Bavli 52a, smack in the middle of this big page. We're up to the story of Ahu Apetrepa. You want him to sit next to me? Ahu Apetrepas, the Hav Shavusah de Rishuban Levi. There was an Apetrepas in the neighborhood of Rishuban Levi. Havkamazbin out of his Aventura, he was selling land in order to buy oxen. But he didn't say anything, didn't stop him. Says the Gemara, the reason why he didn't stop the Petrepis is because he held you're allowed to buy fields to buy oxen if it's needed. He holds like Rabbi Yossi. The Tanya of Rabbi Yossi said, I never called my wife, and my ox, Al-Ishti basic. I called my wife my house because all the needs of the house are done through her. She's that Karasabayis. With Shadi Sadi and my ox, I called my field because he does most of the work in the field, the plowing and everything. So obviously, if you don't have oxen, you're allowed to sell one of your fields to get an ox so you can plow the rest of your fields. Okay, we have another story. Hanu Yasmei, that was Smichi Gabe Ahisavta. There was Yisoibim that they were supported by a Savta, a grandmother. Havalu, Turto, they had an ox, Shoklos Vinta Nialayu. She sold it. Also, Krib in the committee of Nachman, there was relatives that came in front of him. Nachman, Omrele, my Vinta desav. They said to him, what is she selling it for? Omrele, you say,
No, but I'm sorry, I'm coming in late. Where are you?
Oh, I guess we could start it. Hanu Yasme. Yasme is the beginning of the line.
What daf?
15 lines on the bottom. Nun Beis and Aleph, the Bavli.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Anhu Yasme. Got it.
Hanu Yasme. They have a smichi gabe ahi safta. They were relying on a safta, on their grandmother to help them. They resigned him. There's nobody else who was taking care of them, so she took care. She took control of the estate also. She became their apitrepes. But it's not that she was appointed by anyone. She wasn't appointed by Bezdin. She wasn't appointed by the father. It just happened to be because they were relying on her. Havalahu turta. They had an ox in their estate. Shoklo vizvinta. She took it and she sold it. Nialayu for them. Also, Kraven Lukamid of Nachman. Other relatives came to complain to Rav Nachman that she was selling their stuff. It's funny. Nobody else bothered to take care of them. all of a sudden she took care of them and she sold something. They come out of the woodwork. All of a sudden they have all these loving relatives that want to help the Yisayim. Nobody lifted a finger until then. It was only her. So they went to Rav Nachman. They told him, who gave her the right to sell the stuff, the ox? It says in our Mishna that if they're being supported by someone, he turns into the apotropos, so she turned into their apotropos. It's their grandma. I think it's their grandmother. Maybe it wasn't their grandmother. It says ahi savta. Maybe it was just an old woman. I'm not sure. The ox became more precious after the sale. So Rav Nachman said, no, it only became more precious in his rishus after he already did Mashicha. So therefore the sale is a sale. It's a valid sale. But they didn't get paid. The money didn't change hands. If there was no money that changed hands, then we'll follow the din of Rav Chaniloi bar Idi in the name of Shmuel. You have to pay money if you want to acquire the Nichzi Yisayimim. So if it became more yakar, if it became more precious, more valuable, they can go back in the sale and either if you could add the money or you could just renege. Probably you have to renegotiate the terms of the sale. But he did hold that they were allowed to sell the ox, probably because they needed to eat. I don't know. The Gemara has a story. The wine of Marukva, that belonged to his Yisayim, the Yisayim of Marukva. He had a wine. Mashchur by Arba. They did Mashicha. They did the Kenyan Mashicha with four zuz per barrel, I guess. And then by Yakir become B'shita Shita to where the price went up to 6. So was the sale about sale or not? Also the committee of Rav Nachman went in front of Rav Nachman. Amar Luhani to Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. Omer Shmuel, Dom Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. Omer Shmuel. Nichsi Yisayim in Kehektish Lein Miknei El B'Chaspa. So if you only did Mashicha and the value went up, they could renege on the deal. You can renegotiate or renege. You get your money back. You get the barrels back. We're all the way on the bottom now by the 2 dots. Here's where it gets a little complicated, the Gemara. We're getting into the details of the koyach. Normally, by a regular person, it's very simple. A regular person is Mashicha. Kinyan Mashicha, Chalipin, whatever. Hagbal. Not money, and by Kektish, it's money. By the Yisayimim, it really depends. If it's for their good, if it's for their bad. So that's why it's very confusing. Okay. So the Gemara analyzes. Moshe paid him Yasmi Ayakar. Let's say you did Mashicha from Yasmim, from Yisayimim. You want to buy Paytas from them, from their property. And you did Mashicha and then it became more valuable. Could they renegotiate the deal? That is, first of all, the 2 stories we had from Rav Nachman. This is the classic case of Rav Chaniloi. Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. I think the Bach probably adds in Omer Shmuel. Yeah. Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. Hanu Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. This is Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. I'm sorry. It's funny. Here we don't say Omer Shmuel. I don't know why. Hanu Rav Chaniloi bar Idi. Even the Bach doesn't change it. Okay. So that's the classic case. Again, you did Mashicha. You want to buy Paytas from the Yisayimim, and then a Yakar became more valuable. They want to go back on the deal. You didn't pay money, too bad. You lose. The buyer loses out. What if Zoil? You did Mashicha, now it's worth much less, from 4 to 2, let's say. So the buyer wants to go back. No, they get every benefit. Lo yehei koich hedjit chomer mehektish. The koich of a hedjit, that he's stuck with it. If it would be with a hedyot, he'd be stuck with it, even if it became cheaper. So too hektish, he's stuck with it. So too with that, even though normally by hektish we say only mois, only money. Doesn't matter. You already did the Mashicha, you're stuck with it, and so too by Yisayimim, obviously. Okay, so that's the 2 cases. When it comes to Mashicha from the Yisayimim, you did Mashicha from the Yisayimim. If it's more valuable, if it went up in price before he pays you, you can go, the Yisraelim could go back on the deal. And if it becomes cheaper, no, you can't go back on the deal, just like you can't go back on the deal for a hedyot. What if Amshichul who paid a liyas? They're the ones buying. They're the ones doing the Mashicha. A yaker, if it becomes more valuable, can't renegotiate. Like come back to, so just we consider them like a regular person. They're koine with Mashicha, so it's for their benefit. Just like a hedyot, you can't renegotiate if he buys it and all of a sudden it's more expensive. Doesn't have to pay more. So to the Yisraelim don't have to pay more. Zoil, what if it becomes cheaper and now they want to renegotiate to pay a lower price? The Yisraelim. So from they wanted to say that here also we would say it's like Rav Chaniloi Bar Yidi because they didn't pay money, they should be able to renegotiate. But Rav Shisha B'rei Davidi told him, I don't know who him is, because it doesn't say who's talking. It's not good for them to say that if it becomes cheaper, you should be able to renegotiate the deal. If you just did Mashicha for the Yisraelim, it's not good for them. Sometimes they're going to want paytas, and nobody's going to give it to them until you
end of the page.
So because of that, we said
The end. I think so.
we're 2.5 lines on the bottom of Nun Beis Amud Aleph. Because of that, we say if you're doing Mashicha for the Yisraelim, and the price all of a sudden becomes cheaper, you still have to pay the more expensive price.
What is the concern again? Say that again. They're going to need fruit, and what's going to happen?
Nobody's going to want to give it to them unless they pay up front in cash. So it might be hard for them. So when it comes to buying from them, we give them all the benefits. If it gets more expensive, they can get the higher price. If it gets cheaper, they still get the regular price. But we're talking them buying. If it gets more expensive, they pay the regular price just like a regular person. But if it gets cheaper, they cannot renegotiate because otherwise people will not want to sell them anything without them paying money. I don't know why you differentiate between them buying or buying from them, saying you say the same story in the other case. Okay. Yave Yasmi Zuze. Now we're bringing another aspect. What if they gave money? They didn't do Mashiach, but they gave money. I paid it for Paytas. Zoil, if all of a sudden becomes cheaper, just like a hedyot could renegotiate, they'll also be able to renegotiate, even though they gave you money. If it becomes cheaper, Yaakov, if it becomes more expensive. So that it's like hektish. So if it becomes more expensive, you also shouldn't be able to renegotiate because they paid already. It's bad for them. If they didn't get the paytas yet, they didn't do Mashiach, they just paid money, and you're going to say that they can renegotiate, that you can't renegotiate to get more money from them, then the owners will just let the chitim burn. Okay, now the final case with money. We're on the next page, Nun Beis Amud Beis. Yavu lahu zuze li yasme apede. They gave money to the Yisraelim for paytas. Ayaker becomes more expensive. It's just like a hedyot. The regular person can renegotiate. They could also renegotiate. Zoyov becomes cheaper. They wanted to say it's chaniloi baridi that you can't renegotiate. It becomes cheaper. It's bad for them. Sometimes they're going to need money desperately. Nobody's going to give it to them until they give the paytas. So therefore, if it becomes cheaper and you paid them in cash, you should be able to renegotiate. If you did Mashicha, you can't. So really, Rav Chaniloi Bar Yidi only applies in one case out of all these 8 cases. In the case of Mashicha Vayaker, you did Mashicha and it got more expensive. That they could renegotiate to get more money. Why that's the exception? I don't understand, to be honest. Okay, the Gemara goes on. Amar Rav Ashi, Anov Rav Kana Chasmin Ashtora Diime Dezira Yasmo. We signed on the star. Is the shear now?
You should finish the Danish. Can't have it.
You never came to the thing.
You don't want it, I'll take it home.
I lost my spot. Oh, we're on Nun Beis, I'm in Beis. Okay, Omer Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi said, I know Rav Kana Chasmin and Ashtara Diime Dezira Yasma. We signed the star of the mother of Zeira Yasma. The Mizabna Ara Lecharga Beloy Achrazta, who wanted to sell their property. She was like basically the mother who was the Yisoimim of these Yisoimim of Zeira. That she was selling their property for the tax. They had a certain tax called the cargo. It was a head tax. And obviously the tax collect, usually you have to announce for 30 days, we're selling the property of Yisoimim. In this case, they signed off on it because the tax collector ain't waiting 30 days. The cargo for the head tax, for mizoinus, if they need money, food to eat, and for burial, you sell it without the 30 days, because in all these cases there's no time. You can't wait 30 days. They need food to eat.
You have to take that back home with it.
Okay, we're up to 2 dots on the base. Another story. Amram Tzavo Apetrepet Yasmehava. Amram, he used to dye. His job was he would dye garments. And he was also an apetrepes. Also Krevim the Kamid Rav Nachman. The Krevim of the Yisoimim came to Rav Nachman. Amrilei Kalovish Umichsi Miyasme. They said that he's buying his clothing from the Yisoimim. It's not right. He's having benefit. The reason why he's allowed to do that is because it's for the Yisoimim in order for him to appear like an important person. It seems like there's a lot of leeway. He's eating and drinking from them. Sorry, he's not a wealthy person. So how is he eating so well? It must be from them. Could be he found a lost object. He's damaging their property. He's cutting down trees and so on. Show me, give me witnesses that he's damaging their property, and I'll remove him. Rav Huna Chavrin said the name of Rav Apitrepes the Mafsid. There's an Apitrepes who's ruining the property of the Yisoimim. We're removing him from his position. The Itmar was said Apitrepes the Mafsid Rav Huna Rav Misalkinale, David of Shila Amri Loy Misalkinale. It was stated that if you have an apitrepes who's causing losses, Rav Huna says in the name of Rav that you remove him, and in the yeshiva of Shila say we don't remove him. We're obviously not talking about mamish apeshev. Talking about that he's neglectful. The halacha is that we're going to remove him if he's neglectful. And all of this is only an apitrepes who the father appointed. If it's an apitrepes that the bezin appointed, I think when I was learning this, I remember this. Then of course we'll remove him for sure. Everyone will agree we're going to move him if he's peshev. And I guess the reason why Rav Nachman was so reluctant to remove him was because he was appointed by the father. Next, the apitrepes that the father appointed has to make an oath when he's turning over the property to the Yisoimim that he didn't have any benefit. My time, but what's the reason? He loved If not for the fact that he had benefit from it, he wouldn't be an apitrepes. And he's not going to be scared of a shvur. He's obviously doing it for a benefit. The father is appointing him. He's only going to agree to do it if there's something in it for him, like a good reputation or whatever. And he's not going to be. It's necessary to give him a shvuah, to give him an oath, and we're not worried that he's not going to take the job because he's having benefit. However, he's doing a favor for Bezdin. If they're going to make him make an oath at the end, he's not going to want to do it at all. So in order to allow him to do it, we don't make him an oath. We don't make him take an oath. Abishol says it's the opposite. I think the Allah is like Abishol. My time, what's the reason? We knew Bezin Yeshava. If Bezin appoints him, he should make the oath at the end. Because of the ano that the people hear that he's a trusted guy. The Bezin is relying on him. Because of an oath, he's not going to stop. However, we know they're doing favors for each other. If you're going to make him a shvua, he's going to stop. Said the name of Shmuel, the Allah is like Abishol. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Eimer Zev is a Yeshava. Eliezer ben Yaakov says both should make a shvua, both the Petrepus appointed by the father and by the Bezin. Allah is like him. Tanya Rav Tachlip bar Marava Kamed Rababo. Petrepus shemino Abi Yisem Yeshava mipnei shehu neises sachar. And Petrepus that the father of the Yisem appointed should make an oath because he's getting paid. Amr Leat Isa Kava v'Chayles Le. He said, you're bringing a kav and you're ruining it. In other words, you're saying, what are you talking about? He's not getting paid. He's like he's getting paid because obviously the father is doing a tova for him in order for him to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it. Tosfos points out, even if even if they borrowed money for the funeral, and we're talking about paying later, even then we don't do acharaza, which is to wait 30 days. We just sell the Yisrael's property right away. I just saw that place, so I thought I would say it. Okay, we have about a few minutes to do some of Yerushalmi.
Just why couldn't why are they having trouble by saying that the father actually paid the apotropos? I'm giving you a percentage, or I'm giving you a certain amount of money to take care of my kids.
I mean, he was saying in every case, it's like it's paying. Could be there's a case where he'd pay him, but he was just giving a blanket statement. So you're saying that in every case he's nice to sachar? Yeah, it could be one or two cases. That's the blank statement. So the answer is, you're in a hanami, he's not getting paid, but it's as if he's getting paid because there's a benefit. In other words, he holds like the Tanakama, not like Abishol. Abishol held the bigger benefit is the one appointed by Bezin. It's more chashuv, it's more important. It shows you're a very important person if Bezin relies on you. We are in the Yerushalmi on Daf Chof Dalet Amud Beis, which is in my Gemara, it's
B side.
10 lines on the bottom. Miטv Shadeu on Daf Chof Dalet Amud Beis. Might be able to finish to the Mishna, next Mishna. If we're lucky.
Oh, maybe the art school doesn't go far enough. Maybe we need the new one. Second volume.
Are you starting by Miטv Shadeu?
Is it already the second volume of your article?
Yeah, it's the second volume. It is the second volume.
Whoa, that's very little. That's only 24 pages, the whole volume. Yeah, it's the next volume of the art scroll. So you guys don't have the next volume?
The video.
Yeah.
You need to fix the video.
Okay, I'm gonna fix it. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, I'll be back in a minute.
No.
We're in the Yerushalmi Daf Chof Dalet Amud Beis in the middle of Halacha Aleph. Parak Chamishi Halacha Aleph. Miטv Shadeu, Miטv Karma Shel Mazik. Div Rabbi Shmuel B'Shmuel says, when the pasuk says Miטv Shadeu, Miטv Karma, that you should pay the best of your field and the best of your vineyard, it's talking about the mazik. In the Bavli, we have the exact opposite girsa. Bavli, according to Rabbi Shmuel, it's nizik, and the Rabbi Akiva is mazik. Okay, it's interesting. It's different girsois. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, it's Miטv Shadeu, Miטv Karma of the mazik. You pay the best of your field. Akiva says you pay the best of the niziks of the person who's damaged his field, the best of his field. So Kashal the Rabbi Akiva, nizik v'atoimer kain. The guy was damaged, so he has to pay the best of his field. What are we even saying? Bezin looks and they see which field is the best in front of the nizik, and that's how he has to, not that the nizik is paying, it's how you estimate damages. You look at the best field of the nizik, according to Rabbi Akiva, and that's how he's going to pay. Kadod the Tony, like it says, you might think that if whatever he ate, that's what you pay. You pay if it's from the idis, you pay the idis, and if it's from the ziburis, you pay from the ziburis. If it's from the good one, you pay from the good. You pay good. If it's bad, you pay bad. No. Hey, chavido idis shebeziburis. You can't say this. Because oh, he changes the girsa. Nishinui nischois. Yochi mochlam in idis shamaloi. Oiso aruga shocham in idis v'chein beziburis. The truth is that he also changes. He doesn't change the girsa on the Pnei Moshe, but very confusing. This segment, to be honest. You might think that I'll change the girsa. I guess I'll go according to the change because that makes more sense to me. That if he ate from the ziburis, you should pay from the idis. You can't say that because if he's paying the nizik idis shebeziburis, that's very good. So if you damage ziburis, you're paying him idis shebeziburis. You're going to pay him idis. You're paying him way more than what you damaged. Rather, what we do is, this we're on the next page. You look at the field as if it's full of idis, as if it's full of idis. Mean idis. So you're paying him from the idis. And if it's from the ziburis, you're paying him from the ziburis. On the ziburis. I honestly don't really understand this. According to Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva says you pay based on the nizik, the person's whose damage field, but ultimately you pay from your own idis. Rabbi Akiva will also agree that you pay from the mazik's idis, not from the nizik's idis. You pay from the mazik's idis. It seems like, according to Rabbi Akiva, you're going to pay based on the best of the field that you damaged, based on the field that you damaged, based on what you damaged. But that's min haTorah. What about midrabanan? Midrabanan, you pay from your best. And for the Gemara, leisa min haTorah, isa min haTakana. This is a derabanan. It's a takanas chachamim. Why do the chachamim say that you pay nizokin from idis? Because of those who are people who steal and damage. Really means damage. What's the purpose of me damaging or stealing or damaging? Bezin will see my best field and take it from me. According to Rabbi Akiva, it's smach. It's supported by the pasuk of, even though in a charama they're not going to take the mazik's best field. You take the nizik's best field. You pretend as if the field is full of idis, basically, and then you, based on that, you evaluate the patch of field. So nevertheless, yeah, you're gonna. There's a smach midrabanan. You pay for the mazik's best field. What if you're taking a mashkin from him? How do we know that you're going to take from the best? From his best, from the field, or from this. We learn from karka, just like the karka is beidis, so to the mashkin is beidis. I don't know what that means, a mashkin. I mean, how do you have a mashkin of idis? A mashkin is a movable item, and when it comes to taltlin, it's all considered idis. So I don't understand that either. What's the reason why we take the Baalei Chayv get paid bebinonis? If they are Ramoyin, because of those who are crooks. He's going to see his friend has a good field. He's going to lend the money in order to take away his good field, so he only is going to get the binonis. Based on that, you should only get ziburis. Rabbi Yehuda v'cheini in Achanami says Rabbi Yehuda, not to close the door in front of people. He's not going to be able to borrow, so Kopanim will get binonis. Okay, that's according to this Gemara. But Rabbi Simloi says it's deraisa that a Baal Chayv gets binonis mideraisa. Torash Rabbi Simloi, it says ve'ish that the person will take the mashkin out of his house. Why does it say ve'ish? It doesn't have to say ve'ish. Just say v'yoytzi b'chutz tamid v'yoytzi lechaz aved chutz. Stand outside and he'll take it out for you. Why does it say ve'ish? It's a shliach bezdin. If the person who lent will go into the guy's house, take a mashkin away, will take the best. Based on this Yerushalmi, it seems like they hold metaltalin does have different dargahs of idis, beninis, and ziburis. That's what it seems like. I think in the Bavli they say all metaltalin is considered idis. Here it seems like there's different levels. The loiva, the borrower will go in, he's going to take out the worst. Okay, so the shliach bezin will take the middle ground and he'll take out the beninis. Rabbi Shmuel says no. Va'ish is a loiva. According to him, the ish is a loiva. Even though it's extra, I don't know what he's going to do with the extra word. This is all the mashkin. The karka we're going to learn from the mashkin. Just like the mashkin is beninis, so to the karka is beninis.
There.
So to the karka is going to be the beninis.
So
the Gemara goes on. It's obvious that if you have a debt that the guy denies it and you don't have proof until after the Shemitah, there's no Shemitah. The Shemitah doesn't cancel the debt. Shemitah only cancels the debt where you have proof and you're going after him, and then Shemitah comes, it will cancel it. But here you didn't have any proof. You weren't going after him until later. So of course the loan will stand. What if kafrani shinasis milva mishametas? If he first denied it, but then he admitted to it, and Shemitah comes around, then of course Shemitah will cancel it. Rabbi Yirmi had a question. What if you have a milva that he denies, so you could take it? Are you going to take from the beninis if it became a milva that he admitted it? Or do we say that it's only ziburis? Or are we going to say it's only ziburis because it's no longer a regular milva? It's like something else. Well, I mean, logically you should say it's the same din, but maybe because it's kafronis shinasis milva, maybe it's ziburis. Maybe it's a din ter. We'll learn din ter. I don't know. If all the guy has is idis, so even if you're supposed to get paid beninis, you'll take idis. Beninis go beninis, ziburis go ziburis. If all he has is ziburis, you'll take ziburis. Beninis idis u beninis. What if you only have two types of fields? Idis and beninis, the best in the middle. Hanizokin shabna beidis. Damages, you'll take idis. We'll take beninis. What if you only have beninis with ziburis? Hanizokin u'balei shabalam beninis. The people who got damages in the balchayv will take beninis. That's the best you have. Subasisha b'ziburis, and the ksuba of the woman will be ziburis. If your idis is better than everybody's, it's still considered idis. Your beninis, even if it's better than everybody, we'll still say it's beninis. If you have three types of fields, it'll still be considered your beninis. Ziburis shaloi. We're on the next page now in my Gemara. Ziburis shaloi yofim mishakolodam. Ziburis. If your ziburis is better than everyone's, it's considered ziburis. I say idis shaloi beninis shakolodam. If your idis is like the beninis of everybody, so what would be the din? Could the Baal Chayv take from your idis? Reb Zayd of Rabila boy, they wanted to say nishmina min ado. From the first din that we said beninis is ziburis and zakna Baal Chayv shamlam bebeninis. Subasisha beziburis. So just like we said that if you have beninis and ziburis, intermediate and low-level property, the people got damaged and the Baal Chayv will take the beninis and the ksubasisha beziburis. Chmadat boy idis beninis nizokin doichan the Baal Chayv beninis the kavasam beninis ziburis yitchan nizokin the Baal Chayv ziburis. Just like if you have idis and beninis, the nizokin push the Baal Chayv down a notch. So too beninis and ziburis, the nizokin will push the Baal Chayv to ziburis and will follow Well, we don't say that. We don't say if you have beinonus and ziburis and nizakim, push the Baal Chayv down. So we learn that we follow beinonus of kol ha'olam, even though all you have is beinonus and ziburis. We follow the beinonus. Mela, if you have 3 levels, so then we follow you. But if you only have 2 levels, we follow the level of kol ha'olam. So if your idus was the beinonus of the whole of everybody, the Baal Chayv will be able to take from your idus, even if you have 3 levels, I guess. L'chumra, we go against you. If you have 3 levels, we'll take your idus, even if it's better than everybody. But we're not going to go l'kula. If your idus is like the beinonus, the Baal Chayv is able to take from your beinonus, your idus, your best. He says like this: if you sold it, you sold your property after the debt, then the Baal Chayv, even if you sold your idus later, the Baal Chayv already took hold of the beinonus. But in a case where your idus is like the beinonus of kol ha'olam, it doesn't matter. The Baal Chayv is not going to get it. He's only going to get regular beinonus. He's only going to stay on beinonus. Really, we follow you. So if you only have beinonus and ziburis, you would get pushed down a notch. But in a case where that's only if you sold your idus after the debt. But if you only had beinonus and ziburis, then the Baal Chayv would get pushed down. So therefore, if your idus was the beinonus of kol ha'olam, the Baal Chayv will take a level lower than that. Your beinonus, we follow you according to Rabbi Yossi. Okay, it's a little confusing. Uksuba sisha b'ziburis, I guess we'll continue tomorrow. The question is tomorrow's Tisha B'Av. If you guys want, we could do a shir in the afternoon, or we could skip tomorrow if it's hard because of the fast.
Why don't we do a share in the afternoon?